Hey everybody, it's Matt Shu from Upright Health. In today's video, we're going to be talking a little bit more about how to beat back pain. I'm going to share with you a couple experiences that I've had with myself and with clients that can help illustrate why it may be a better idea to think about back pain in a different way, in a way that actually lines up more with the new recommendations from the American College of Physicians. So in a previous video, I talked about how the American College of Physicians in early 2017 released some new guidelines about how to go about treating back pain. And one of the recommendations they had in there that might seem a little bit odd to some people is, hey, make opiates the last resort. And in fact, before you do that, you should make sure you are recommending that people do exercise, do acupuncture, do spinal manipulation, do massage, do pretty much anything that is not invasive. Don't give them steroids, don't do things that wreck the internal system and numb the pain. Look for ways to solve the problem. So, obviously, I'm a little bit biased. I'm going to say you need to find exercises that work for you, that keep your body moving well and feeling good. That may be a gradual process. Now, people oftentimes ask me, well, how did I get to have such strong opinions on things like this? Well, I'm going to have you rewind about 20 years when I was in high school. I was at the beach one day. I was facing the sand. I was in the water facing the sand, and a wave that I didn't know was there because it was behind me hit me from behind, knocked me down to my knees, and once I was stuck on my knees in the sand with half my body underwater, the current came in, the tide came in, and basically went over my head, so then I was not able to see or breathe, and then the current actually hit me in the low back. So I was facing this way, and it just went whoosh right into my low back. So I was planted, stuck. I didn't want to fall forward, and I couldn't fall backwards because I was being just kind of cut in half at the low back, and that made my back hurt. So when I got out of the ocean, I was in a ton of pain. I was limping because my back hurt so bad, and that back pain did not go away for over 2 years. Now, what happened next is one of the reasons why I have such strong opinions about medical approaches to back pain. I ended up going to the physician, my family physician, and he said, you know, everything looks fine, just take some pills. So the pills were ibuprofen first, didn't really help so much, so I think he prescribed naproxen, and that didn't really make the pain really go away. I mean, it would make the pain go away, like it would kind of disappear for a while, and then it would come back. And so the next line, since my mom was worried about me, my back was still hurting, it was going months and months and months, my back's hurting, not able to play hockey well, I barely, I can't feel stable and safe when I'm doing anything. The next line was Vicodin. So the doctor prescribed Vicodin, and I was 16 years old. And luckily, I hated the feeling of Vicodin. I took it a few times, and I still remember very clearly one day we were at our nutrition break. I don't know if we still have that in schools, but in the middle of the morning, you got a break in high school, and then you could have bagels and talk with your friends and just blow off steam. And I was on Vicodin that morning because my back was still hurting. And I remember my friend Jason was like, "What's wrong with you? Are you drunk right now?" And that's a very funny question if you knew me in high school, because there was pretty much zero chance I would have been drunk. And I was like, what are you talking about? And apparently my speech was super slurred, and I was sort of like wobbly and not all there, so he thought I was drunk. That was the most obvious explanation for that, which, again, if you knew me in high school, that was not really an obvious explanation. So the point is, the Vicodin was messing me up, and I didn't like the way it made me feel. I didn't feel functional, and it didn't seem to be solving my problem. What ended up solving my problem was actually the internet. So that's one of the reasons why I share as much information as I do here. The internet at that time was not really as well developed. There weren't videos online. I mean, it's like not a thing, because everybody was pretty much still on dial-up. And I just happened to be trying to use, I don't know if it was Alta Vista, it was some old search engine at the time, and I managed to somehow find some website, some web page where somebody was saying, well, if you have back pain, one thing you could try is lying down on your back when you go to bed, and put a pillow under your knees, and that can help relax your back. And my back constantly felt like it was super, super, super tight. So I said, what the heck? I'm already taking pills that don't seem to be solving the problem. Let me try that. And I tried it, and it was really, I still clearly remember looking up at the ceiling as I was lying in bed and actually feeling the muscles of my low back like relax, like going from the seized position to like, wait, I think we might be able to relax, just because I basically had tilted my pelvis back a little bit and then encouraged the low back to just kind of settle down. And in hindsight, it makes a ton of sense. I'd basically spasmed up into a huge lordosis, and my back just couldn't find a way to relax enough to let that down. So just by luck, I managed to find something that actually applied to my situation and then totally helped my back. So it helped a lot. It actually removed a lot of the pain, but then there was more to that story because I had to develop more strength around the back and be able to do athletic things, but that took more time. That's a whole other story. But just to find the initial relief was the internet. So that's why we're here. Now, I want to give you another example of a client that I've been working with over Skype who had some back pain. So this guy, Nick, is a college student, and he was having back pain. He was telling me, I have back pain. It's been months. I keep getting this back pain. I keep getting this back pain, and nothing seems to be helping. I don't know what to do about it. Like, stretching's not helping it. I try to massage it. It's not really helping it. So in a medical mindset, you start looking for pathology, right? This is typically, okay, obviously this is not going to be every single doctor that you run into, but typically you're going to tend to start thinking, well, what's wrong with his spine? What's wrong with his spine? And if you can't stretch it and massage it and it doesn't fix the problem, then clearly there's something wrong with the spine. So that's a really slippery, dangerous road, I think, to go down. When you start saying, well, there must be something really wrong with that structure, we need to fix that structure. It's basically how things have been going for the last at least 100 years. So I think a more productive approach is the one that we use is to, number one, assume that there's nothing actually wrong with the spine. Assume that the signal of pain is telling you something. It's attempting to alert you to something that your body is not really enjoying. So what we did was, instead of looking for, well, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Is when does it happen? So, I'm going to take you through kind of a thought process here, is identifying the triggers. What's going on? When does the back pain happen? So for him, it was happening, noticeably happening after long periods of studying. And the pattern wasn't actually that clear, right? First he was saying, well, it's not really during the day, but in the mornings it definitely feels bad. So then you have to think, well, if it's in the mornings and it feels bad, then why would it feel bad in the morning? What's happening in bed? Is the bed not comfortable? Is it every day? Is it only weekends? Is it only weekdays? And so we started to find a pattern of, well, actually, it seems to happen on the mornings after he's been doing a bunch of homework. It's like, okay, well, why is it on the mornings after you're doing a bunch of homework? Well, I don't know. Well, how are you sitting? What are you doing? Are you standing, sitting? What's that look like? Turns out he was sitting on his bed with his laptop on his lap, which, if you can imagine, basically means you are slumped over like this and are tippy-tap typing with your T-Rex arms. Actually, let me put my foot up so it makes it look even worse. So you're actually sitting like this, your legs out like that, and you're just jammed into this horrible, really unstable and wobbly kyphosis. It puts your spine into a big, big C-curve, and that surface that you're sitting on is really wobbly, so these spinal muscles are going into a lengthened position and then trying to stabilize your spine on this bed. So from my experience, that's not really a comfortable thing to do to your body. It's definitely not something that's very comfortable to do for several hours, especially while you're studying and you're stressed out. So we made one simple change. So the hypothesis there was, okay, we can identify possible triggers here. Let's form a hypothesis. Hypothesis is that sitting, that pattern that you're doing is not really nice to the muscles around your back. So let's change that. Let's take that out. Stop doing it that way. Do it another way. Go sit in a chair. Go use a standing desk. Go do anything but sitting on the bed and allowing your back to round like that. Let's see what happens. So when we check back in a few weeks later, turns out that was the problem. So he stopped doing that and very quickly noticed that the back no longer hurt. So there was nothing wrong with the back, and there was nothing wrong with the pain. The pain was actually just an alert, just telling him, hey, you're doing something in a way that is stressing me out, right? It's your body just saying, hey, fix something here. The trick is you have to identify what the thing is. Instead of going and searching for, oh, where in the body am I broken, you search for where in my life, where in my habits am I doing something that's causing my body an amount of stress that it can't comfortably recover from. Okay, so sometimes with computers and homework and work and all that stuff, it can be really difficult to tease out where those patterns are. But when you do, you can make a huge change. So that was back pain that he had for months and months and months on a consistently intermittent basis. It just kept coming and going, but pretty often in a week he would have that back pain. So now he doesn't have that back pain, and we've now had a few months to even check on that. The back pain doesn't come back as long as he doesn't sit on the bed in that weird position, in an unstable position. Back is fine. So the main idea here is that you need to observe and understand what's going on with your body. You don't want to just go around assuming that because you have pain, you're broken. You want to think about what's contributing to that signal, right? Form a hypothesis, right? If you can identify a couple triggers, you form a hypothesis, and then you make a change that would address that thing that you think is the problem. And then you observe and adapt. If that change hadn't worked, then we'd try something else. Hey, maybe we can try training a different way. Maybe you need to do this. Maybe you have something weak here. Maybe you need to exercise this a little bit more. That's the process of solving your problems, not searching for am I broken? That's a really dangerous path in my opinion. In my non-medical opinion, it's not helpful to go searching for what is broken. Okay? The end result of this is that you have control over what's going on with your back. If you're looking for the thing that's damaged and destroyed and needs to be surgically repaired, you have zero control over what's going on. If you are instead framing this as an issue of what can I do lifestyle-wise, what can I do with my habits, what can I do with my training, you suddenly have quite a bit more control, and you'll find, from my experience and from the experience of a lot of our clients, you'll find that it is very possible to make some huge changes regardless of how bad the damage looks. So, hopefully this video gives you a different perspective on back pain, gives you some ideas on what you can do to start helping yourself and take control of your own issues. If you have questions about it, if you are concerned about it, definitely talk with somebody that you trust, talk with a trainer, talk with somebody who's going to help you solve your problem. We're going to try to include the link here in the description for the American College of Physicians new back pain recommendations if you want to check those out. While you're down in the description, be sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to the channel, and remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and comment. And don't forget to subscribe.